And I do think growing up in a family where public service was like a big through line, it wasn't an expectation, but it just kind of, it was what we talked about around the dinner table.
This is Alchemy Social, and I'm Sue Jean. In this episode, I sit down with Lauren Bush-Lauren, the CEO and founder of Feed, a mother of three, fashion designer and model, and a member of American political royalty. When Lauren launched Feed in 2007, the idea of starting a fashion brand that would also fight childhood hunger was novel and even confusing. She kept going, determined to address the food disparity she witnessed firsthand with the UN World Food Program. Today, the Feed Tote has become an iconic fashion piece, and Feed, now a certified B Corp, has provided over 126 million school meals to children in need all over the world. Lauren and I actually met over 10 years ago when we co-hosted a Feed Supper. She's continued to launch creative collaborations with the likes of Ralph Lauren, Minnow, and Amber Waves Farm. We discuss how motherhood has shaped her vision and what it really means to build a durable brand that blends sustainability, style, and social impact. Would you recommend it?
Oh my gosh. Not for everyone. I definitely have friends and I'm like, oh, you can log off your email at 5 and be peaceful. I've never necessarily felt that. And for better, for worse. I also feel so invested.
I hope you enjoy this conversation, and let's stay connected, so subscribe for updates. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Susie. Yay.
What is it that you love the most about your job? And I ask because you started Feed, a global brand, in 2007 that is at the intersection of fashion, purpose, and sustainability, which from the outside sounds like such a compelling, exciting combination. And that's very different, though, I think, when you're actually day-to-day building a company. And so I'm really curious, what is your favorite part of your day?
Oh, my goodness. I think one of my favorite parts is that every day is different.
Yeah.
As a social entrepreneur, founder, I've just learned so much, and I continue to learn so much 18 years in, and just being in that position to be a sponge in that way and be a creator is just such a joy still.
Amazing. Do you remember the first moment when you had the seed of the idea, and how did that come alive?
I do. I remember the specific walk I was on when I had this sort of aha moment. And you hear some founders say they have that, but I did have it. I was studying abroad in Australia. I was a student in college. And two things were happening at that point in my life. I was traveling with the World Food Program. So I was using vacations between, school breaks. I was, again, studying abroad in Australia. So taking various trips from there with the UN World Food Program. So I was able to see firsthand, the reality of poverty and hunger, but also, the work that was being done on the ground to help these families and these communities that were in that position. And I was also studying fashion design and using, other parts of vacations and summer breaks to do a course at Parsons here in New York, a course at Central St. Martin's in London, internship here.
Cool.
So I was kind of at this cross section personally of being like, gosh, what do I want to do with my life? And really feeling inspired by both of these paths, whether it be kind of in fashion design, entrepreneurship, or humanitarian, essentially aid work, development work. And that's when I had this sort of aha moment of wait, maybe I could combine both of these paths and desires in order to give back. I just had this feeling that, going into design or entrepreneurship without that sort of element of doing good and giving back to these communities that I had sort of seen firsthand and, sat with mothers on their floor and visited schools and you can't forget that. So I knew something I did had to be a part of that, but I still feel so lucky that I was able to kind of manifest, feed, and combine both of these worlds together.
Yeah. Wow. Do you feel like even before that there was foreshadowing, even as a child, maybe of an interest in social entrepreneurship, in impactful business building, or even fashion, that preceded each of these kind of pivotal experiences?
I mean, I look back, like I was that kid always like setting up a lemonade stand or selling flowers to the neighbors. Like I was sort of always hustling and having a little neighborhood business. Like I did jewelry. I would bead my own jewelry and sell it at craft fairs throughout middle school and high school. Yeah. So that's in me. I love making things and like dreaming something up and crafting it. Yeah. So that's also, was always kind of there. And I would say, like, my mom, when I was young, started a charity called Caritas that helped homeless and abused children. Wow. So part of just our family culture was, like, going to the soup kitchens and going to, occasional things in our backyard. I grew up in Houston, Texas, where I got, again, that firsthand kind of exposure to realities that, people were facing. And so I think it was, the seeds were definitely planted, well before I had that sort of aha moment. And I do think growing up in a family where public service was like a big through line, it wasn't an expectation, but it just kind of, it was what we talked about around the dinner table. And I just felt, with privilege comes responsibility to give back. And that was really also instilled, I think, at a really young age. So Feed definitely scratches a lot of those itches.
Amazing. And as you said, you have been at this for almost 2 decades. Mm-hmm. And over the course of that time, the company has evolved, times have changed. What is the most unexpected difference or change that you've seen the company undergo as you've grown the business over the years?
Oh my gosh, so many like evolutions and iterations. Yeah. It's kind of mind-boggling to look back and just think about how the landscape of retail and brand building and consumer goods has, shifted and changed over time. When I started Feed, I mean, Instagram was like just starting, like crazy. All these tools that are just second nature now for brands, for us as humans, weren't even there. Shopify, just the basic building blocks of an e-com business. So we started initially from the get-go as a D2C business, and then have always tried to form like strategic partnerships with retailers and other brands. But just to kind of a front row seat to the evolution of just that in general, but also the evolution, Feed started, I think we were founded the same year as Tom's Shoes, as the Red campaign. Like it was really this renaissance moment of, conscious consumerism and people wanting, the beginning of consumers demanding from brands they shop and are loyal to, that they do something, good for the world, good for the planet. So cool to also just have a front row seat to that movement, which again, I think is morphed from conscious consumerism. It's now more activist consumerism, where people will buy or boycott based on company values. So I think that shift has really changed. But I think, one of the major shifts I've seen, I started Feed, we were confusing, I would say, to people and to a lot of the partners we wanted to work with, because at the time, either you're doing business to do business, or you're doing good for the world and you should be a nonprofit or a government agency. Like there was a very kind of clear divide between the two. And we were, I think, one of the, among the first to be like, no, we want to be in business, but to do good. And I do think that's more second nature now, which is cool. And now there's the B Corp, there's other tools and sort of standards out there that just weren't even invented at the time when Feed started. So I just love that paradigm shift of like, you can be in business, but also in business to, make an impact and to do good for the world.
Yeah. I mean, you were a pioneer in bringing those two together. So I'm guessing that you were a contributor to making it more mainstream.
Well, one of many, but thank you.
So as the landscape is changing and as the business is changing, I'm also guessing that you are changing. And so I guess I have the same question for you as you think about modernizing Feed and continuing to update its strategy and its brand through the times. in keeping with its DNA as well, you're going through kind of life pivots and life realizations.
Totally.
Tell me if there is kind of an additional pivotal moment or additional kind of breakthroughs that you went through that was tied to the business.
I know. I mean, when you start something, it's like, yes, so personal.
Yeah.
So Feed and I are very interconnected, as you can imagine, for better, for worse.
Yeah.
No, I mean, even becoming a mother, honestly, obviously being like the biggest life shift change I've undergone since founding Feed.
Yeah.
On one hand, makes the mission of Feed, which has always been to help underserved children and to feed children and address childhood hunger specifically. Most of our funding has gone and still goes to school feeding programs around the globe, as well as here in the U.S. So now as a mother, you're like, wow, like that is so essential. It's something I knew intellectually. I saw on my trips, but like I feel it now in this like bone deep way that I feel like I could not have as a 22-year-old, right out of school.
Yeah.
And then on the capacity front, you're like, I am a single human. I have 3 small dependents who I love deeply, and they need me, and your time becomes, calibrated, I think, in a different way. And priorities shift, and it's good. It's like a natural, I think I say all this because I think I resisted for so long. Like I'd already been an entrepreneur for a decade plus when I even had a kid.
Yeah.
My first child, James. So it took me a minute to, recognize the reality of that, and that shift needed to happen. And even if I love my, work and feel such purpose from it, I feel obviously such purpose and love for this little human.
Right.
So that's, I'm still sort of recalibrating, I would say, and continuously, finding or searching for that elusive balance that probably doesn't exist.
Right. Although I feel like the good news is that now you have a multitude of sources of inspiration and joy.
Yes. 100%.
Which is very exciting. Speaking of Feed itself, I'm curious where you get your greatest inspiration in terms of the actual designs and the colors, the fabrics, and has that changed over time?
It has. I mean, you have to sort of read the tea leaves of what society wants. We started, with a burlap bag. Yeah. That's still a bag we have online. It's sort of our OG Feed One bag.
Yeah.
And yet, over time, we've introduced more color, more pattern, like hand-woven fabrics, sayings, sort of conversation totes with like sayings that we believe in, like cultivate kindness. Love or that. Woman on a mission.
Yes.
So ones that we've come back to time and again, and new ones too. And that's fun. Like that's the creative joy of being like, oh, this is something I feel like is missing in the market, something I want to buy, my friends want to buy. How can we make that? And how can we make it more sustainably, at the right price? It's, people aren't going to pay exponentially more just because of the give back. So figuring out the kind of, Venn diagram of all these factors of on trend, the right price, also the give back, that's part of the challenge and the magic of what I get to do.
Yeah. I know this is an impossible question to answer, but do you have a favorite design right now?
I obviously have many, and I like overtaken my closet.
Yeah.
And every day I'm kind of like, oh, that's fun. Now that it's like finally spring here in New York City, it's like, oh, I take out like a loose cotton one. It feels light and easy. And in winter, it's more like the organized leather ones we've done.
Yeah. One to match the mood.
Yes.
And the occasion.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the crazy thing is that we actually did a collaboration nearly a decade ago I was at Chobani, and I still have that tote actually. And
I'm so happy it made it on the many moves since.
Exactly. Because it's so durable. And at the time, we actually co-hosted an event. Events are really front and center for me right now because I am all about in-person experience these days in this highly digital world. And you really spearheaded a movement of feed suppers back then. What are your thoughts on the role of experiential today? And is that still a significant part of spreading the brand message?
Totally. I mean, I wish we had like a full events team to help facilitate that, because, it takes so much love and care, as it should, to put on a really personal and on brand and like great experience. So when my team and I were racking our brains around, I mean, you guys were one of the first to help collaborate, and were so kind to host. I'll never forget, in Harlem.
With Marcus Samuelson.
At Marcus Samuelson, and his right when he was opening his restaurant there. And Jean-Baptiste played. Way before he was like multi-Grammy award winner.
I know.
And it was so fun. Oh my gosh. But for our little team, we were like, okay, we have this small team. Yeah, we have X amount of capacity. Yeah, getting out in the world in person with people, especially around the issue of food. Like, we all eat, obviously. And to pull people around the table, maybe who don't even know each other, and make it really joyful and organic. So I always say, sort of taking what's typically done as sort of a gala-style fundraiser, which is inaccessible to many, and many can access it, don't even want to go to these events, but making it really democratic and fun and easy for people to sort of do it in their own way and host however they want to host, whether it's in their home, in their favorite restaurant, on a park bench, in their college cafeteria. And, raise money, whether it's people give $1, whether they give hundreds of dollars. So it's been really fun to sort of basically create a platform and let people run with it in their own creative ways. And then the ones we've been able to actually like activate with partners obviously have been such a joy. So for many years, Feed Supper was like very much a focus. I do, still collaborate and host, I don't know, a handful a year in different places and raise money that way. And the thought too for us is like our own, we raise money through the sale of products and the brand stuff, but we can also just raise money directly, from people who care and have a heart about the issue of childhood hunger. So Feed Supper has been a fun way to do that.
Yeah. It actually seems very consistent with the idea of creating more physical touch points, because you actually fundamentally have the tote, which is the thing that you can touch and feel, that kind of represents not only a beautiful fashion accessory, but also a message. And then you have the interaction in the in-person experiences. You also have had a brick and mortar location, which I think is like taking it to the next level in terms of immersive experience. Tell me how that came about and kind of the why behind having a store.
Probably now that you're saying it, I do feel like it probably came off the back of Feed Suppers and saying, gosh, when we get people, immersed in the brand in this way, it's just a beautiful thing. And there was a demand for it. So we opened, before COVID, 2017, we opened our first and only brick and mortar in Dumbo. It was in like a new development right on the, waterfront. And, it was just, magical. We sold product. We also curated other, from other brands and other makers that also had that kind of give back element or socially conscious element. But we also, which was really, I think, important for what we wanted to do, is made it a coffee shop. So we worked at the time with La Colombe, who helped roast like a special feed coffee blend out of like organic, from their roasters around the world.
Cool.
And it made for this, not every day do we need or should we be shopping, quite frankly, and consuming. And yet I'm like one of those who like needs my daily coffee. So it was just this cool way for people to come in, sit, have a coffee, have a meeting, and, obviously shop feed, learn about feed along the way. And we were able to use it as like our little activation studio. So we would have a ton of programming, whether it be like about female entrepreneurship. We did host Feed Suppers. We'd like sell tickets to Feed Suppers and have literally like strangers from the neighborhood, from everywhere in New York, coming together, sitting at a big table, breaking bread, talking about the issue of hunger, talking about their lives. Like, it became a real, little hub for us. And then sadly it was just, a COVID casualty, like so many things. But it was, such a fun, challenge / opportunity for us to kind of see feed manifested in the world in that way.
Yeah. What do you think it is about these, either the in-store experience or the events, or even when you think about the bags themselves, is there a detail that you think is really, really important in bringing the brand to life that you spend an inordinate amount of time on or energy on that people don't even notice, but that when you look at it as a signature?
I mean, on the product design front, and this has been even internally heavily debated, to be honest, most of our bags continue to have like I have my prop with me, a very large feed branding because,
I mean, it's like a recognizable household kind of logo.
But it's a billboard. So it's also meant to be a conversation starter.
Yeah.
So we definitely do bags with like, a smaller patch with feed,
Yeah.
And more subtle branding. But I'd say for the most part, our most successful bags have had the larger branding. And I think,
cool.
Because people in buying feed kind of want that like humble brag of, hey, look what I did, or here's a bag I'm gifting you, and look what it did. But also maybe more subtly is every bag also has a number on it, ta-da, 10. Right. And sometimes that's printed on the inside pocket.
Yeah.
But for us, I think the core kind of component to the feed model is that tangible, like measurable impact you're having.
Love it.
So, as a consumer or someone carrying the bag, like this bag represents 10 meals that I help donate to, school meals to children around the globe and in the US. So that remains having that like tangibility, even with feed suppers, actually. We had like every feed supper you could, say, hey, we raised $100, we gave 1,000 meals, like whatever that math was.
Yeah.
You could kind of stand up as the host and brag about that and know exactly tangibly what you've helped give.
Amazing.
So I think that's been a huge part of people's trusting feed and wanting to be a part of feed, is just knowing exactly kind of where that money is going.
Yeah. The numbers are getting very high these days.
Yeah.
126 million meals now.
Yeah, collectively.
Right? Amazing. I was actually, when you first said that, I was like, how are you going to fit all the zeros?
I know.
It's per bag.
Per bag. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Totally.
Very cool.
Thank you.
I think you had said that one of the pivotal kind of aha moments was in the context of travel. And that was really getting to explore the world and witnessing these challenges that you were inspired to try to solve. In the context of transformative travel, are there other trips that you've taken that really just stand out for shifting your perspective or changing the way you think about yourself or the business?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like every trip is transformative. Gosh, true. It's like, I love travel so much. And yes, I think, 100% feed would not be here. I would never have dreamed up feed had I not had that experience of being boots on the ground, with the UN World Food Program, visiting these programs. But even kind of predating that experience, I had the amazing opportunity when my grandmother was still alive. She took me and my sister to Kenya and to Egypt. So it was my first time to Africa. And we visited, a small rural Maasai village in Kenya. And it just like, wow, like blows your mind when that's like when you've never been exposed to a culture so vastly different and a different way of life. And I ended up also majoring in anthropology. So I'm like kind of a total nerd when it comes to this stuff, but it really was like, wow, this is something, if I'm able to in my life, I want to keep exploring and learning and, visiting different places with like vastly different cultures and belief systems.
Yeah. It feels like that kind of tactile, like immersive experience is just more and more important these days, especially in the context of digital living.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how sustainability and fashion is evolving, because for you, I feel like it's part of how you think about manufacturing and how you think about the durability of the bag. I think it's a word that's tossed around a lot these days?
Probably buying fewer, more quality products that that will have a longer lifespan in your closet. I think we're just at the forefront of seeing sustainable materials, like finding their way into, lines and designers utilizing them.
Yeah.
It's funny, while I was starting Feed, a few years after, I started like a clothing line for half a second called Lauren Pierce. And the whole premise was to use sustainable fabrics and also artisan-made fabrics.
Yeah.
And again, it was like very niche in Barney's for like a year or two.
How fun. When was this?
This was in, oh my gosh, it's like a blast from the past, 2009?
Wow.
2010?
That was a separate company.
Separate company
Oh, wow.
called Lauren Pierce.
Yeah.
Because again, it was like more like, what do I want to wear?
Yeah.
And the more I learned about the waste of fashion and was interested in design and in fashion, wanting to do it differently.
Yeah. And
at the time, there was just like so few materials kind of available. I remember emailing our factory for Feed being like, instead of using traditional cotton, can we use organic cotton? And they responded being like, well, what's organic cotton?
Yeah.
Like it just wasn't even in
the vocabulary.
In the vocabulary.
Yeah.
So I love that it, like, obviously we've come so far where there's certifications, for cotton and for rPET, recycled plastic liners. I mean, can't very humbly say, like, we've done a lot with Feed over the years, but it's been a journey. Like, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's more expensive.
Yeah.
Like you don't always get that credit with the consumer who's willing to pay that difference. So it's a real choice to be made. And you're up against fast fashion and people, I guess being accustomed to paying a lot less for goods. So it's tough. Like, it's an uphill battle. But I do think there is such a growing awareness, and obviously with the rise of thrifting and of that's cool again. I don't know. I'm hopeful that that will continue to be what's looked upon as not only responsible, but like fashionable, to be more conscious with your shopping habits.
Why are your bags sustainable?
So we try to use certified organic cotton. Cool. Burlap is like an innately sustainable material. Jute, it's like essentially a weed.
No way.
Who knew?
That's really cool.
Like no fertilizer needed, etc.
Yeah.
And then when we've done bags that require lining, we use rPET, and that's we try to use natural materials that when they do eventually kind of have an end of life moment, they will biodegrade. Because so much of like fabrication now is synthetic, and it won't, it will take hundreds of years to biodegrade. So we've been trying to be mindful about like that end of life moment of products. But again, like there's so much more coming that, is out there now that I always like, I'm like, I don't feel like we're in a position to brag too much about it because there's still more to be done.
Yeah. Well, the fact that I still have my bag from a decade ago is a testament to the quality and durability of the products, which I think itself is a sustainability. What is next for Feed? What are you most looking forward to?
I know. Feed is at a really kind of interesting, I would say creative moment, which is cool. Like we're just thinking through, the best, most impactful way forward. I say creative. It's like a positive spin on, the sands are, like the ground is shifting beneath us. And obviously tons of funding is in jeopardy or have already been slashed for a lot of the programs that we've supported over the years and believe in. Yeah. So I feel also like a sense of urgency to kind of continue with Feed, but also step up what we can do to help support these really important programs. But I think it is about kind of constantly reading the tea leaves also and seeing where we can have the most impact. So something I'm a little more focused on than I have been in many years is growing the Feed Foundation. Yeah. And through the Feed Foundation, we support not only the school feeding programs that we continue to support, but also we've been able to give sort of micro grants to community-led organizations, globally here in the US that are really just doing awesome things to help create like a more sustainable food system, a more equitable food system, from drought-resistant seeds to like a great organization here in New York called Grassroots Grocery that's taking produce that would otherwise be thrown out and repacking it and delivering it to soup kitchens and other organizations here in New York. So it's fun. It's really like that gets me up in the morning and
Amazing.
Keeps me excited.
Yeah. What's the hardest part of what you do?
I mean, I think, gosh, so much. The hardest part, I think it's like keeping the lights on, like being realistic with what, my team can do, what I can do. But also it's like being realistic, but also continuing to be idealistic and optimistic and striving for big, sweeping changes or being able to give, a lot and riding that wave of being an entrepreneur nowadays, which is sort of ever changing. It's challenging, they're big highs, they're big lows.
Yeah.
And the longer I've done it, you learn to not kind of ride that as emotionally or turbulently as I think I have in the past, but I'm not immune to it.
Yeah.
So
it's really interesting because I feel like the business that you have built is so creative on the one hand and clearly has such a kind of foundational piece that is giving back and driven by purpose and impact, which I think is different from a lot of the businesses that get a lot of airtime, which are just about scale. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, when you think about growth, hyper growth, rapid scaling, have there been times where you I guess could have done one thing to rapidly exponentially grow the business and scale and decided to pull back in order to maintain either quality or integrity of the mission?
That's such a great question. Yeah, I think there's like a chunk of time exactly where it's hard not to kind of look over your shoulder and see X, Y, and Z brands, whether they be social give back brands or not.
Yeah.
Scaling in a certain rate or doing it in a certain way. And I think when I've noticed, for me at least, when I've been too much looking over my shoulder and too comparative, like the joy is really sapped out of it and you lose that, kind of core anchoring to why you started it and what you've done.
Yeah.
So I think, again, the longer I've done this, the maybe wiser I've gotten about really just surrounding Feed with like really well-intentioned, good-hearted, smart people who want the best for Feed. But by best, the best isn't defined solely as scaling at a certain clip. And I actually I'm happy, one of the trends as of late that I've seen is like, let's value just like well-run, sustainable businesses. Like we don't need to just value the few unicorns that can raise a gajillion dollars, probably more than their revenue even, and be valued at whatever valuation is kind of cooked up.
Totally.
So I think there's a real kind of like back to earth moment with some of these companies that, just felt like it was all hype and not substance. Not all of them, of course.
Yeah, right.
So it's just, again, been kind of interesting to kind of like watch that wave rise and fall.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do, of course, these very mega scaled companies have changed the world, are part of our everyday lives in so many incredibly meaningful ways. But I think what's interesting is that they take a lopsided amount of airtime. And so it almost sometimes feels like that's the only way to scale a company. It's the only definition of success. And that, I think, is inaccurate, because I think that for me, what I'm really interested in is almost less about like the size of the company and more about the quality of the experience in building the company. Are you having a good time? Are you doing what you care about? Do you wake up with purpose in your own day-to-day, as opposed to, say, chasing a number on a spreadsheet.
Yeah. I love that.
And that is so refreshing to see what you're building because it's so infused into the product itself. Mm-hmm. Did you expect to be doing this? To have this kind of like, intersection of purpose infused into your career? Because I think other people, an easier route is to have, I guess, a more conventional path, mm-hmm. and then fill in the free time with things that bring them joy.
Yeah, I know it wasn't. I don't think it was expected. No, yeah. I mean it. Once I thought of the aha moment for Feed, again, I wanted to see it through, but I didn't have a defined definition at that time as like a 20-year-old of like what through meant.
right. Of the dream job.
Of the dream career.
Job.
Totally. It's just being opportunistic and seeing where opportunity was and what, felt really meaningful and purposeful in following that. So yeah, like I said, I wake up a little surprised and like happy that I was able to fuse these things that don't often get fused together in terms of a career.
Would you recommend it?
Oh my God. Not for everyone. I definitely have friends and I'm like, oh, you can like log off your email at 5 and like be peaceful. Like I've never necessarily felt that. And for better, for worse. Like I also feel so invested in something that I want to be checking my email at 10 p.m. So it's about finding balance. So it's like I've also had to like then train myself to be like, it's okay. Like this can wait till tomorrow. Yeah. You know, it's okay.
Yeah.
So I love having that. Yeah, just like 360 view of everything that we're doing. Again, we're a small team. Mm-hmm. We're, many of us have worked together for like 10, 12, 15 years. That's like at amazing. This point, which is also like a really
rare,
but like amazing part of my day and journey is just working alongside women who also have had, been on this ride with me and feel passionately about Feed as I do. I feel blessed.
Cool.
Also, like one of the biggest blessings of this journey has been like fellow female entrepreneurs, of which I'm like, I don't know if it's New York City or just like the circle I run. I just feel so blessed to know so many.
Yeah.
And they've been like the shoulder to cry on, the like phone a friend about what do you do? And, everyone again on their different journeys, doing their different things at different scales and different ways and for different reasons. But to have that kind of tribe and community of women who've like built something from nothing is just really cool and inspiring. So I also feel like I've learned so much from them and I've just a lot of good camaraderie there.
Yeah. Nothing beats that. Mm-hmm. Do you have an event or experience upcoming that you are very excited about?
Ooh. Yes, I do actually. We've done this for 2 summers past. This will be our 3rd summer in partnership with Amber Waves Farm in Amagansett. We're hosting this like family farm day to benefit both the Feed Foundation and Amber Waves.
Oh, cool.
Which will be fun.
So what happens there?
So there'll be like music and pizza and this like, they put this beautiful like wood fire stove in the farm fields and they make beautiful pizzas and salads and like kid activities and like a really fun, it's summer solstice. It's our summer solstice like family party. So
fun.
I know. So in the past we've done sort of a seated dinner, but we were like, gosh, more and more people want to come. So we were like, let's just blow it out and make it more casual and more family friendly. So that's like the one on the horizon.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, summer is right around the corner or here. So I am most looking forward, first of all, just to like downtime with my kids, with my family. We go out to Montauk and kind of lay low. But my husband and I are going to escape and go to Mallorca for a little bit in July. So both of us have never been there. So it's been on my bucket list and I'm excited to to see it and experience it.
Lauren, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Where
you.
can we find you
What
and
a
hear
joy.
more?
So on Instagram, it's at Feed or at Lauren B. Lauren. And then visit our website, feedprojects.com.
Great.
Yeah, check us out. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
What a fun conversation.
It has been really fun. And I think that it's really inspiring to hear your story, because I think that when I think about crafting a life experience, it is such a joy to be able to blend something that you personally really care about, making an impact, with something that's also fun and exciting and innovative. And I think that your ability to bring to life a brand that really sits at the intersection of very compelling, even sexy topics, fashion, sustainability, while infusing it with purpose and impact, is something that represents a really joyful way to approach one's career.
Thank you.
So,
that means a lot, actually.
Yeah.
That's so kind.
And so hopefully more can think about that as a career path when they're thinking about what they want to be when they grow up. Because I think that, we need to give more airtime to social entrepreneurs and to people who are really building lives that are themselves kind of infusing joy with purpose and value. So
thank you.
Thank
what a
you
compliment.
again.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool. I hope you enjoy this conversation, and let's stay connected, so subscribe for updates.